Welcome to our 11th battle report for DeepWars. In this battle report, we mix things up a little bit and do a turn summary approach. In this game, we pit the Dark Mariners as attackers against the Scaly Horde defending. These are 650 point forces, as you can see here, and we played at our FLGS. Our apologies for the occasional background noise. Our mission is Breach from the printed copy of the 2.5 rulebook. I hope you enjoy this battle. It's a real nail-biter all the way to the end. Thanks for watching. Okay. So top of turn 1, Dark Mariners attempted to activate the Vanguard Warrior. He's within a long stick of the leader, but he rolled 2 dice. Unfortunately, Paul rolled a 1 and a 2, so it's a failed activation, and so no actions this turn, and turns over to bottom of turn 1, Scaly Horde. So bottom of turn 1, I activated my Direfish Lizard. He activated on 2s and swam all the way up there with 3 actions. Then my Dagathonian Salvager activated on 3s. I only got 1 successful activation, so he essentially swam up, and then my turn ends. We're going to move on to top of turn 2, Dark Mariners. Okay, we're at top of turn 2, Dark Mariners. So essentially the Aethermancer there summoned the Protospawn of Yossoth and dropped him right there in line of sight of my Direfish Lizard. Then Paul activated this Warrior, moved him up to kind of block charge lanes. Then you activated the Cavern Crawler, got 2 actions off of 2 dice, and moved him right there within striking distance of that portal of the science station. And then you attempted to activate your commander, rolled 2 dice, and you failed your activation there, so we pass it on to bottom of turn 2, Scaly Horde. Okay, bottom of turn 2, the Scaly Horde. I activated my Sea Demon Shaman. He got 3 actions, rolled 3 dice and got 2 successes, so he channeled 2 spell points per that activation. I then did a quick activation with my Dagathonian Deep Collar. And so he just moved up. I then did a multiple activation with my Treasure Seeker, and he moved up and over. I also did multiple activations with the Dagathonian Brute. He swam over, got 3 actions and swam over, and is just in striking distance of getting into that portal. Moved up the Gark as well with a quick activation. Then I attempted to do multiple activations with my Dagathonian Reef Lord. I only got 1 action, so he swam straight up, and that will end my turn. So we're going to pass it over to the top of turn 3 for the Dark Mariners. Alright, top of turn 3 for the Dark Mariners. The first action was to get that Raider Cavern Crawler into the science station, so he has breached. So the Dark Mariners have gained 3 victory points already. Then Paul activated his Octopod Biomech with a quick activation, just moved him up 1 medium stick. And then Paul activated the Vanguard Commander, rolled 3 dice on quality 3, only succeeded getting 1 action, so he moved him up a medium stick, and that ends the turn for the Dark Mariners. Okay, bottom of turn 3 for the Scaly Horde. Essentially lots of actions going on here. The Dagathonian Deep Collar moved up. The Gark moved up 1 depth level. The Salvager got a heroic activation and moved all the way from over here over to here. There was a lot of action kind of going in here. Sorry, no, the Salvager did a standard activation, moved over there. This guy got a heroic activation. He snaked his way all the way up here. The Dagathonian Brute got 2 actions and moved up here and did a slide-in attack on the Raider Cavern Crawler. I rolled an 8, the opponent rolled a 4, so that doubled him and killed him. And then I successfully rolled only 1 success with my Direfish Lizard. He was within a long stick of the Protospawn of Yossoth, so he had the Madness special rule, so he only activated on 4s, which is a bummer. So he only got 1 action, so I backed him off a little bit so that he could have a chance at doing something productive next turn. So that's bottom of turn 3. We're going to move to top of turn 4, Dark Mariners. Okay, top of turn 4 for the Dark Mariners. Essentially, great activation rolls moving the Warriors, the Vanguard Warriors, and the Vanguard Commander up. He also moved the Protospawn of Yossoth up within a medium stick of the Direfish Lizard, so that Madness effect takes effect on him next turn. The Aethermancer channeled spell points and spent 1 point to continue controlling the Protospawn, so he's hanging out there. And the Nautiloid Chrysalid, he's hanging out here in the back, and he channeled 3 spell points this turn for some terrifying dimensional magic next turn, I'm assuming. So strong activation round for the Dark Mariners. We're going to move on to bottom of turn 4, Scaly Horde. Okay, bottom of turn 4 for Scaly Horde. Essentially, I had my Reef Lord swim in through here. He got 3 actions in his activation, so he moved all the way over here, searched that treasure. Turns out to be a golden treasure. Then I activated my Dagathonian Brute. He got 2 actions, and he searched that treasure. It's another golden treasure, so that's 2 victory points for the Scaly Horde, so the score is now 3-2. I then moved over here to my Draconid Sea Demon Shaman. He channeled spell points for 2 because he lost them from the previous turn because he failed to activate. And then I tried to activate my Direfish Lizard. He was within a long stick of my Deep Collar, but he had -1 to his activation due to madness from the Proto Spawn. So I rolled pretty poorly and only got 1 action, so I said, I'm just going to get the heck out of Dodge. There's too much beef there for him to deal with. So maybe try to make an end run around the rest of the table, but that ended my activations for the turn, so we're going to go to top of turn 5 for the Dark Mariners. Okay, top of turn 5, great turn for the Dark Mariners. Essentially, the Octopod Biomech did a breach attack against this wall and blew it up. So that wall is now open to the elements. And then Paul moved over his warriors and whatnot over this way and moved his Protospawn Yosoth over here, making line of sight to the guys within the science station. The Nautiloid Chrysalid cast a spell, the Zone of Terror, which is this red dice. So those 2 treasures that these guys picked up were repurposing. This one's the Zone of Terror, and then the Aethermancer here cast Dimensional Vortex with a really clutch roll there, and so drop that one right there. So essentially that Brute is in a lot of trouble next turn when he activates. Might get sucked into the void or run in terror from those 2 zones. So that was the turn, top of turn 5 for the Dark Mariners. We're going to move on to the bottom of turn 5 for the Scaly Horde. Okay, bottom of turn 5, there's a lot of action going on there. So my Dagathonian Deep Color, he moved up. Then the Direfish Lizard got 2 actions and activated over there from here and swam around and is kind of trying to do an end run around there. My Sea Demon Shaman activated. He got 3 spell points and cast Acoustic Resonance Zone right there. So hopefully we'll get some terrible action on some Dark Mariners there. Essentially what happened after that, I activated my my Reef Lord. He succeeded the morale check based on the terror zone. He moved over here, checked out the treasure, and found a golden treasure, so it's at 3 points now. And then I activated the Gark. He just moved in. I activated the Treasure Seeker. He moved in as well. They were kind of all just standing around here. And then the Brute, he essentially took the strength check from the Dimensional Vortex. He passed that. Then he took the morale check at -1, so rolling on 5s. He failed that rolling on 5 because normally he's on a 4, but the Protospawn Yosoth is -1, so he was rolling on 5s. He got 2 failures, and so he ran 1 medium stick towards the closest table edge, which was that way. So that was the end of my turn for the Scaly Horde. We're going to move to top of turn 6 for the Dark Mariners. All right, top of turn 6, Dark Mariners go. The Nautiloid Chrysalid moved his Zone of Terror from there and moved it over next to the Direfish Lizard to see if we can get him terrified and running off the board. So the Aethermancer did a spell cast for Time Shift, got a total failure, rolled 3 2s, and so the mishap happened. You passed your will check, and so therefore you don't get swirled into the vortex of time. So he's still on the board, but that does mean a failure of activation on the Dark Mariners. So we're going to move on to bottom of turn 6 for the Scaly Horde. Also note, since he didn't have a chance to spend a point to control the Protospawn of Yosoth, that means that he has lost control of that, and so now it is a random sea creature for the rest of the battle. Okay, so bottom of turn 6, essentially I moved everybody over. Right now the point is to get into the middle of the science station to gain the victory points at the end of the game. So I had everyone do a quick activation here and here, just kind of starting to move over to here. All of my guys are moving back into the back of the science station just to kind of stay there and hopefully not get any more bombardment from the Dark Mariners. Then my last activation of the game, or the turn, was with my Direfish Lizard. Now he is out of the control zone of the deep fish, or the Deep Collar. He's within the terror zone that was cast by the Aethermancer, or sorry, the Nautiloid Chrysalid. He's also within a long stick of the Protospawn of Yosaf, so it's -1 to his leadership. So he's normally a leadership or a willpower of 4. It's -1 because of the Protospawn, so he's rolling a will check against morale on 5s. I rolled quite poorly, so he is completely off the board at this point. So that is the end of turn 6 for the Scaly Horde. We're going to move to the top of turn 7, the Dark Mariners. Okay, so since the Aethermancer lost control of the Protospawn of Yosaf last turn, he becomes a predatory wild sea creature, and per the rules, the predatory wild sea creature makes a beeline for the lowest point model on the board, which happens to be my Deep Collar. So he moved from here, there, 1 medium stick to stalk that guy. It turns out he's still within the he's within the acoustic resonance zone that my Sea Demon Shaman cast, and so he had to take a resistance roll. He failed that, as a matter of fact, and so now he is transfixed. So that is the bottom of turn 6. Now we're really going to go to the top of turn 7 to the Dark Mariners. Okay, top of turn 7, the Dark Mariners trying to make a move for that science station. So the Aethermancer channeled spell points and got 3 spell points. The Nautiloid Chrysalid moved up, trying to get better position towards the science station. Paul's Vanguard Commander successfully escaped the acoustic zone and moved over here, trying to get some good position to move in there next turn and away from the acoustic zone and from the Protospawn that's now a free roaming creature. Then he tried to activate the Vanguard Warrior down there, failed the acoustic resonance roll, so he is now transfixed, and then so he's stuck there. So then did a quality roll and failed the activation. So that is the end of top of turn 7. We're going to move on to the bottom of turn 7, Scaly Horde. Alright, bottom of turn 7, I essentially did some quick activations. I moved the Deep Collar up, I moved the Sea Demon Shaman up. These guys are all going to do quick activations and stand their ground. Really the name of the game for the Scaly Horde at this point is just to see if you can hang on into that science station and hope to God that the Dark Mariners don't cast some spells in there to make me all run away. So right now that's the end of bottom of turn 7. We're going to move on to the Wild Sea Creature phase with that Protospawn of Yosaf. So we just tried activating the Protospawn of Yosaf. He is transfixed, so we tried to activate him. Did not get 2 4s to break that transfixion, so he's going to stay put, and we're going to move on to top of turn 8, Dark Mariners. Okay, top of turn 7, a lot of really good action going on here. So Paul moved up his Nautiloid Chrysalid and cast Mind Control against the Dagathonian Brute and successfully got it. So after my next turn, he is Mind Controlled, so I can't do anything with him this turn, my next turn, but Paul will have control of him next turn and can donate actions to him. He also moved up his Aethermancer and recast the Dimensional Vortex. Really clutch casting there. He had 3 spell points saved up from last turn, got another 3 actions, so was able to drop it right there and amplify it for 1 point, so a medium stick gets all 3 of these guys in the back. So that should be a lot of fun next turn. He also attempted to activate his Vanguard Warrior, failed that activation and was not able to shake off his transfixed state, and so turns over the turn by a failed activation there. So some good spell casting by the Dark Mariners. That's kind of what they're known for, and amongst other things. All right, bottom of turn 8. The plan was to continue moving up into the science station. You'll see that the science station is slightly less occupied than it was last turn. So bottom of turn 8, I had my Deep Collar move up. I had my Dagathonian, or my Draconid Sea Demon Shaman move up 1 level. My Reef Lord attempted to activate in the Dimensional Vortex, failed and was slurped into the Dimensional Vortex, which essentially kills my leader model for the warband. So now I have to take a morale check across the warband. So the Gark and the Salvager both failed, getting 2 failures on their will roll, so they move 1 stick towards the closest table edge. Since I figure they can't move through the wall here, they're just kind of jackrabbiting through the porthole there. And then my Deep Collar completely failed all of his will check, and so he just completely swims off the table. So that means I've got 3 casualties. Not quite enough yet to do a half warband gone morale check, but one more model will do it. I also did a morale check on the Brute. Even though he's mind controlled, we figured that he should probably take a morale check as well. So he succeeded, and so he's still there. So bottom of turn 8, things are not looking good for the Scaly Horde. The Dark Mariners are now creeping up, getting ready to breach the science station en masse, and we're going to move to the top of turn 9, Dark Mariners. So for the Wild Sea Creature phase, the Protospawn of Yosef did his activation and tried to resist or break the transfix. Did not roll well enough to break the transfix, so he's still there transfixed, and we're going to move to top of turn 9 for the Dark Mariners. Alright, top of turn 9, Dark Mariners. The Nautiloid Chrysalid activated with regular actions, not a spell cast, and a 2-up because he's within a long stick of the leader. Paul unfortunately rolled 2 1s and a 2, so he got 1 action. He donated that 1 action to the Dagathonian Brute. So we entered combat, dice +5 versus dice +4 for the weapons. The Dagathonian put a wound, the Brute put a wound on the Salvager, so the Salvager has 1 wound against his body and is fallen. He also failed his poison check, so he's also poisoned. So next turn he will have to resist poison or take additional wounds. So that was a failed activation with 1 activation, and it was donated to the Brute, so that ends the Dark Mariners top of turn 9. We're going to move to the bottom of turn 9, Scaly Horde. Okay, bottom of turn 9. Essentially what I did was this Gark just swam up, took his medium action, 1 quick activation, and moved in next to the Brute. And then I took this Sea Demon Shaman and just did a quick activation and moved him essentially right here. He's on a swim stand, so he's essentially hanging out right here, right in the portal. And then I activated the Brute. He did a will check, and he actually succeeded, so he broke the mind control. So now he's back under control of me. The Brute was standing right there, so he moved in. Then the Dagathonian Salvager had poisoned. I rolled for him. He failed the poison check. He was rolling on 6s due to deadly poison, so now he is dead. So what that also means is I had to take a 50% warband casualty morale check, and so the Brute, who just got unmind controlled, he succeeded. He failed that, and so he had to move 1 medium stick away. So since this portal is blocked by this guy, his closest exit is that portal, so he made 1 medium move that way. The Gark succeeded with his morale check, so he's fine and hanging tough, as well as the Sea Demon Shaman. So that is the bottom of turn 9 for the Scaly Horde. We're going to move on to the Wild Sea Creature phase, and then Paul's last turn to try to clinch victory in that science station for this scenario. Okay, so the Wild Sea Creature phase, that predatory sea creature, now that it's not under control by the Dark Mariners, he rolled 2 successes on his quality check for activation, so he spent those 2 to remove the transfix. So he is no longer transfixed and can activate normally. And so that is the bottom of the sea creature phase. We're going to move on to the final turn, turn 10, top of turn 10 for Dark Mariners. Okay, top of turn 10. The Nautiloid Chrysalid moved in and successfully cast Mind Control against the Brute. I failed my will check, so he is Mind Controlled. And the Nautiloid is in the Science Station gaining points. The Dark Mariners Vanguard Captain was standing right about here, right on the edge. He failed an activation. He got 1 success and 2 failures, so he took his 1 medium move and got into the Science Station through that breach in the hull. And he's right there now. So that was the end of top of turn 10 for Paul. So that's what the Dark Mariners have got in the Science Station. Remember that he is controlled, so he's not under my control. I don't get to do anything with him except try to make a will check to break that control. So we're going to go to the bottom of turn 10 for the Scaly Horde. All right, end of turn 10. Wow, what a turn and what a game. So essentially, quick wrap up, the only thing that mattered was whether or not that that Dagathonian Brute maintained mind control from the Nautiloid Chrysalid or not. So essentially I moved my Sea Demon Shaman in, I moved the Gark up, so now that I've got 3 models, but 1 was mind controlled. So I had 2 models to his 3. Remember, he mind controlled that guy. It came down to a will roll of the Dagathonian Brute. I needed 4 ups to break that mind control. And if Paul retained mind control, he would have scored. If I broke the mind control, I would score, and then the the winner would be basically having 3 models in there. I rolled at least 2 4s, so he broke mind control, which means the Dark Mariners did not have control of that guy. The Scaly Horde had 3 guys to the 2 guys at the end. We had 3 victory points each by this time. I had 3 treasures that I found, 3 golden treasures. Paul had done the initial breach, which was 3 victory points, so we were tied 3. So it really came down to that last roll. So victory for the Scaly Horde. Okay, folks, so that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that battle report. Both Paul and I will add some color commentary and texture to the battle report and comments on the video. So again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more DeepWars action.